cares, and so does the St. Raymond Annadas Foundation for Freedom, Family, and Faith. Hi, I'm Anne DeSantis, Executive Director. In 2015, the Mercedarian Friars came together because they wanted to start a foundation to help families in crisis. And that's exactly what we've been doing over these years. Whether it be something to do with divorce, separation, trauma, job loss, loss of a loved one, or other adversities, we've helped so many families get through those tough times through the spiritual works of mercy. We'd love to hear from you. Please do get in touch with us for our services. They are prayer, priestly consultation, podcasts and videos, and programs and events. We look forward to hearing from you. Just go to nonotus.org and get in touch with me. I look forward to hearing from you. God bless.
Fiat Ministry Network and Patchwork Heart Ministry present Journeys in Faith. Now, here's Anne DeSantis.
Good evening and welcome to Journeys in Faith here on Fiat Ministry Network, Patchwork Heart Ministry. And for this show, I'm very excited because I have my good friend, podcast co-host, and the founder of Patchwork Heart Ministry, Bill Snyder. Bill, welcome to Journeys in Faith.
And it's always awesome to be on the air with you. Thank you so much for having me on Journeys in Faith once again.
Absolutely. And it's an honor because, to be quite blunt, if it weren't for you, this show wouldn't even be in existence. So thank you. And Kent Kuholski, Jennifer Sinclair, that wonderful teamwork that we have together with these three Catholic nonprofits, which would be the St. Raymond Annadas Foundation, Patchwork Heart Ministry, and Fiat Ministry Network. It was all born out of the pandemic, literally. So how beautiful is that? But Bill, I just want to thank you again so much for being a guest and for being a friend.
Oh, absolutely, Anne. It's great to be with you as always. And this is just so much fun to be able to be with you once again and talk about this great project. So I'm so excited.
Oh, yeah. We have a lot to talk about. And some of you who are on social media, you might have seen the brand new documentary from Patchwork Heart Ministry called Who Do You Say I Am? It is a documentary about the Shroud of Turin. And I am so personally excited about this documentary that I've been telling all of my friends, all the people that I know that are in church ministry, all of my relatives. I mean, this is just one of the most exciting endeavors that's been happening. And I want to start out, Bill, if I could, by reading your beautiful bio, which you just supplied me with, because there's so much going on with you. And that Bill is the founder of Patchwork Heart Ministry, a nonprofit 501c3 Catholic youth and young adult ministry. He inspires, engages, and challenges young people to live their faith boldly by example through storytelling and media initiatives. He is passionate about sowing hope into broken hearts, and his story has been featured on an episode of Shalom World TV's Triumph and several media programs. He's the author of 4 works, including Hearts Burning Within Us, Answers to Burning Questions from Catholic College Students, and is the executive producer of Who Do You Say I Am?, a documentary film exploring the science of the Shroud of Turin through the lens of faith. He and his wife, Agnes, live with their son, Elvin Francesco, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. What a wonderful bio. I love that end piece because one of my favorite little people out there is Elvin Francesco. So I say hi to Agnes and Elvin too.
Good.
Awesome.
He's fortunately taking a nap right now, so we can do this.
That's right. Now, people who watch the show, it airs on Friday evenings at 8:30. It is pre-recorded. We have to do it when it works, right? But let's start out, Bill, with this whole idea of how did this idea of doing this documentary come about?
Yeah, and it's truly a freak accident from the Holy Spirit. That's the way I have been referring to it as, because like most things in my life, the Holy Spirit gives inspiration and then he helps me follow through. And so I was having a conversation off the air with our good friend Kent Kuholski, and we were just talking about different projects and what was going on with our ministries, like we constantly are doing between the three of us. And he had happened to mention to me that um, the head of the Shroud of Turin Center in Richmond, Virginia, the executive director, Brian Walsh, and him were going on Zoom, and they were recording some programs and materials could catalog and archive his decades-long research of the Shroud of Turin. And he has been doing this for quite some time, decades upon decades. And so he was like, I'm getting up there in my mid-70s. Let me start cataloging some of my work so that, others can benefit from this when I'm gone. To Kent, instead of just going on Zoom of giving information out or doing presentations, well, how about we a documentary that, and we have fancy camera equipment and we can put this together in a way that allows us to draw people in, right? And not just be some presentation that only scholars are interested in watching on YouTube. I mean, that's important too, don't get me wrong, but for the layman out there who wants about the Shroud, is there something from a Catholic out there? And there really isn't. So that's how this came to be. Kent, I went back to Brian and he said, Brian, I want to have a Zoom call with Bill and talk about it. And soon enough, the idea for the documentary, was presented to him, and we had that conversation. He was like, yeah, let's do it. And so again, the Holy Spirit, a few more people in our path, like the other amazing expert that we have in the film, Richard Burnett. He is based in Las Vegas, country, giving Shroud and other faith-based presentations. He's the founder of Faith-Based Communication, so a big shout out to him. But beyond that, we also reached out to Marytown, who has the exhibit of the Man of the Shroud. We asked them if we could film attendees that were attending a traveling exhibit, which we did. And there's so much in this documentary, but that's how it came to be. It was accident of the Holy Spirit and just a conversation with Kent and Brian, and here we are 2 years later. It's a long road when you start creating films. So 2 years later, we have a documentary. It's out, it's available, and I'm so excited.
I am really excited too. Excuse me there for a second, with my being muted. But the website itself is patchworkheart.org, and then there's a drop down there for the Shroud film, and you can learn about these opportunities to watch the film. In other words, you can be an individual where you pay, it's only $7.99 to be able to watch this film, or you can even rent it, and I believe, Bill, it was $3.99. And then, of course, you have these licensing agreements, which churches, dioceses, and archdioceses can actually purchase this agreement so that they can show it to groups of people in their parishes or dioceses. So, Bill, talk about, like, if you would, those opportunities, because I think you're making it really, really easy for people to watch this film. And it's a less than an hour, but it's profound. It really is very profound. I'm so glad that I have the rights to be able to watch that and have, purchase the the individual one so that I can watch it whenever I want to. It's great.
Yeah. So you're right. We really did try to make it affordable and easy to access. And so we're really excited also to partner with Film Hub. So in addition to buying it on our website, $7.99, you can get it to purchase, as Anne said, for $7.99, rent it for $4. You get it for 3 days. So there's like that little scriptural reference about, how long was Jesus in the tomb there? 3 days. You get it for 3 days. You can watch it as much as you want during those 3 days for $4 or $3.99. And that's the individuals, but really the power of this, I feel, is going to come in the parish settings, in the group settings where you are able to then have a conversation. And so what we did was we put together a PDF guide that is available on our website for free to enable you to have a conversation about the Shroud of Turin with your group. So if you're in a parish, you show the film for an hour, right? And it's 53 minutes long. So you show the film for an hour, you get 7-10 minutes for a bathroom break. You can come on back and you can have a conversation around tables in your parish center using this PDF, using this guide that was written by William Hemsworth, by the way, who's a very good friend of our ministry, wonderful, wonderful man. And so he put together the questions for this, and they're wonderful, and they're tailored for different groups. So we have 4 core questions, and then we have 2 questions in men's groups, women's groups, and young adult groups. So this is accessible. It's easy. By the way, the fees for parishes are extremely low. If you want to have a one-time showing of the film, it's just $250. So we're trying. We know people are on limited budgets out there in the Catholic world. So absolutely, we try to make it affordable. If you want to take it another step up, you could buy for diocese or archdiocese. You can take a look at a perpetual license, and you can purchase that. It's $1,200 for a perpetual license, and that means you can show it as much as you want in public, wherever you want, for as long as you want. And so those are really the 2 big options that we have for groups and parishes to show the film so that they can make an impact with this. And so again, all of this is available on our website, heart.org. You'll see all the information up there. All you have to do is click the little button that says Shroud Film at the top.
Yeah, you've made it so easy. And I know that you've been pretty busy with things, and people are purchasing this film. So I just want to make that shout out to people who watch the show, because we get all kinds of people who are involved in ministry, people who love their faith, even people who are away from their faith. And Bill, I was thinking that maybe when we come back after the break, let's talk about the evangelization piece of this, because I really believe, I'm the executive director for the nonprofit, the St. Raymond Donatus Foundation, where this film really can make outreach to families who their children, parents, other friends, family who are away from their faith. This film is going to do that, and it will do that. So, Bill, I'd love to touch on that when we come back. So we'll be right back here in just a few minutes. Stay with us with Bill Snyder.
People who have faith in the shroud as the burial cloth of Christ, but don't understand or don't know the science, when they get to know it and learn it, have more respect for the cloth because of that. Science truly followed and faith well followed blend to form the truth, and the truth is on that cloth.
One possibility, of course, is that we have some unknown man who was scourged, crucified, stabbed with a lance, crowned with thorns, who spent less than 3 days within his burial shroud and bears his image in such a way that it cannot be recreated with all the technology that exists today. Or perhaps, just perhaps, it may be Jesus the Christ.
This is your salvation. This is love in action.
Welcome back to Journeys in Faith on this Friday evening with my very good friend, Bill Snyder, the founder of Patchwork Heart Ministry, the executive producer of Who Do You Say I Am? He's also the podcast host of the Sowing Hope podcast with myself. And as I said at the very beginning of the show, if it weren't for Bill, I wouldn't even be here on Journeys in Faith, because he and Kent with Patchwork Heart Ministry, Fiat Ministry Network, have helped to bring this show to life every Friday for the last almost over 3 years. So grateful to Bill and to Kent and Jennifer for all they do.
Yeah.
Bill, right before the break, we were talking about how this film really can make a difference for people who are away from their faith. And, even people who are kind of lukewarm, because you're blending faith and science. Can you talk about that and how that can reach certain, sects of people that really are more science oriented, that might not believe in the resurrection?
Absolutely. I'll talk about that. We spent some time writing the film, right? Like, actually writing the script for it, because you have to have voiceover people. Another shout out to my amazing voiceover person who's in this film, Adam Frank. He just did a fabulous job voicing this. But when you write the film, you have to come at it from some perspective. We knew that we were coming at it from a Catholic perspective, a faithful Catholic perspective, right? All of us are Catholics. We are very, very strong in our faith. Between Brian, myself, Kent, and Richard, all of us are Catholics. So we're coming at it from that perspective. But where do you begin? And so when I wrote the intro to the film, which, on net, I kind of took a page out of Netflix, model, where they have this thing called skip intro, right? Where you can skip the intro on your TV. And sometimes these intros are rather long. But the reason why I did this was because I knew that people of faith could easily skip the intro, and people who were not of faith would be drawn in through it. And so we spend 4.5 minutes in the intro to this film, before you even get to the title slide, talking about the state of the world and where it is and what Satan is trying to do to distract and deceive people. And this question of, what if Jesus is real and he left behind a selfie image on a piece of cloth? What if he did it? And what does that mean for you? Right? So if you're you're a skeptic, or you're an unbeliever, or you're lukewarm, watch the introduction. 4.5 minutes. It kind of hits you in the gut a little bit, right? It kind of hits you in the gut and goes, okay, now I can move into understanding about the science, because we wanted this to be an emotional film for people. We want this to be an encounter with Christ. It is not just a science film. It is not just something that you're going to see on the History Channel. It's not a group of experts. It's not a group of skeptics. It's not a group of researchers coming at this from a secular point of view. It is faithful Catholics. It is faithful Catholic researchers. It is faithful Catholic scientists and faithful Catholic filmmakers coming at this from a perspective of, well, who do you say I am? Is it really Jesus? And if it is, and after presenting all of this science and all of these things that our experts do, right? And they delve into this and they look at it from every which way and every perspective. After that, you are posed with the question, who do you say I am? And guess what? We don't answer it for you. We let others answer it. The people in the film that are coming to the exhibit and walking away, I'll let them speak for themselves, and I do let them speak for themselves. We don't cut it up and make it something that we're not saying. There's no fancy editing in there. It's very, very plain. We clean things up a little bit, so there's not as many ums and ahs in there, but we are presenting something authentic. And so you are posed with the question at the end of the film, right? And you have to walk away going, is this Jesus or is it not? And if it is, what does it mean for my life? And so during this Lenten season, during this Easter season, this is the time when we get a chance to really reflect on that and really think about that in a special way in the church. And so to inspire skeptics than to pose that question to them and ask them, if it's not Jesus, then who do you say he is?
The question is something that I think we should all ponder, because that is scriptural. When Jesus asked that question, who do you say I am? And it's a question that we can ask ourselves every day of our lives. And I love the way that you explained all of that, that selfie image. And, that's something that we can all relate to, right? Because we use our phones and people are making selfie images all the time. And that's an imprint of ourselves giving to other people, where Jesus is doing the same thing. And it is blending faith and science, isn't it?
Absolutely. And, think about it. We believe pictures, right? Like when you look at Facebook, you believe that person was in Florida for a week because they posted a bunch of pictures of their kids running around on the beach. Like, you believe it. So what if Jesus actually took a picture of himself as he rose from the dead? Do you believe it or don't you believe it? Like, is that we believe the evidence that is in front of us, right? Now, we can manipulate pictures. There's things called Photoshop. I get it. I just used it to create a film, right? But the reality is that, if you're faithfully going about this and you're faithfully following the science, which, by the way, we have been hearing that phrase in society quite a bit, follow the science, right? And we've been hearing the follow the science, follow the science, follow the science for the past 3 or 4 years during this pandemic. And it's like, okay, I've had enough of that. What happens when we faithfully follow the science of the shroud? What happens if we do that? If we look at that, where does it lead us? And I'll tell you where it leads me. I can't speak for anybody else out there, but it leads me to believe that is Jesus Christ. So, and he did what he said he was going to do. He's the only religious figure, if you want to use that term. I believe he's the Messiah and my Lord and God. But if you want to use the term religious figure, he's the only one out of Muhammad or Buddha or any of these gurus that are out there, modern day ones, that actually said, I am God, I am going to die, and I'm going to rise from the dead. He's the only one who made those claims. There's not another religious figure on the face of the planet who made those claims. So think about that. And if it's true, if he left proof on his burial cloth that he rose from the dead, what does that mean for you?
So well said. And these are things that you're going to hear in the documentary when you purchase it. Either whether you do that individually, as Bill said, you can do it for the $7.99, the $3.99 to rent it for the 3 days, or there's the licensing agreements, which there's different options there that Bill lays out when you go to his website. Again, it's patchworkheart.org and then the Shroud film page. Now, I want to read you one of the testimonials. It says that, who do you say I am has changed my life and my appreciation of the sacrifice of Jesus. The documentary should be shared by every archdiocese in the church and beyond. And that was actually from yours truly.
Yeah.
But I thought I would read that because I really mean that. I do think that every archdiocese and diocese should show this documentary. That's how powerful it is. And so I just invite people to consider it. It started out with just individually. If you're watching this video right now and you're thinking, okay, I'm interested. I don't know if I can do it with my church or with the diocese, but start out by just either renting it or purchasing it for the $8. It's also really a great gift for any holiday season. Now, we're taping this during the Lenten season, and I'm pretty sure that this is going to air either on or around the beginning of the Easter season. Maybe even it's before. I have to check our schedule, so my apologies there. But it's coming soon. It's coming soon. So whether it's a gift for Lent, like going into Easter, or some kind of like birthday, graduation, whatever it is, it's a perfect gift. I think even for confirmation, Bill, I really believe that it would be a good gift for confirmation for a student, depending on their age, right? Because I know maybe we should talk about that and unpack that a little bit, like the age frame that you think is appropriate for the documentary?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I was working with actually Amanda Lauer wrote a fantastic article on CatholicMom.com, an amazing review of the film. And so I encourage you to go over to CatholicMom.com and read her review of the film, because she did an amazing job and it's very balanced. And I absolutely agree with her, is that this is for mature teens and above. And the reason why I say that is because we talk about the horrific crucifixion that Jesus went through, and some of that can be disturbing for younger viewers, right? But obviously, with parental discretion, you know your kids the best. So if you feel it's appropriate for them, and you've already talked about this stuff, but I mean, there is nothing graphic in the film. There's no bloods and gore. You're not going to see any of that. It's not like the Passion of the Christ, and not that the Passion of the Christ is bad. There's none of that in the film. There's some shots of Jesus carrying a cross. There's the crown of thorns on his head. There's things like that. But as far as, watching a man get crucified, you're not going to see that, but you're going to talk about it. And so, the horrific scourging, what, the like to be crucified, and all of that is on the film, and in the film. So if you haven't had that conversation with, a younger child about that, or, middle schooler about that, and really what the detail is, of what crucifixion was, then I would say just wait a little bit, until they're a little bit older and they're mature. Can I tell you what age that is? I think it's better if, you make that judgment as a parent. Watch the film ahead of time with your family, or your wife, or your whatever, or your husband, and then say, hey, you know what? Yeah, my kids can see this, or let's wait a couple of years and then show it to them.
That's perfectly stated, Bill. And the best way to do is for whoever, as Bill said, whoever's watching this right now, if you're watching this right now, get the film and watch it, because that's the best way that you can decide. I think this film, though, is really perfect for that like late high school, college age, and just want to make that invitation to those young adult groups that might be watching, or people that are in that age group, that this is a really great thing that you could bring to your university.
Mm-hmm.
Please do check it out. And again, just go to patchworkheart.org. Now, Bill, tell us what else is going on for you. I know that there's, you've been pretty busy with the showings and people reaching out. Anything else you want to share with us before the end of the program?
I am so excited about this film. There's so much, of course, always going on. I mean, and our show, Sowing Hope, is one that we can point to for people to join in and enjoy our conversation on our YouTube channel. So if you go over and subscribe to the Patchwork Heart Ministry YouTube channel, that's a big help to us. But honestly, this is, this film is our big project right now. Of course, looking forward to the many different ways that we're going to continue doing things like this. We have ideas, in the back of our mind for more films, for more media production. We've got a lot of great ideas, but help us make this fly. Is what I'm going to say, by watching it and, buying it and gifting it. As Anne mentioned, there's like a little gift option on Vimeo, on our Vimeo OTT page, and you can gift this to a friend, birthday, graduations coming up in the springtime. Great time, to gift it to somebody as they're going off to college. So, those little things help us. They help sustain our ministry. Of course, you can help support the film and donate to us on Buy Me a Coffee. All that is available on our website as well, patchworkheart.org. But and that's what we got going on. I mean, tune in on YouTube. I'll give a shout out to our Marian Summit that's coming up in May, because that's going to be a wonderful thing. That's a free event, by the way, everybody. We don't charge a dime for that. But we get a lot of amazing speakers coming to be with us and share 15 minutes on the Blessed Virgin Mary and what she means to them. So please check out the Marian Summit and our Eucharistic Summit that we had this past year. So, I mean, so many amazing things going on, right, between all of our ministries. Big shout out and thank you to Kent Kuholski, my co-executive producer in this entire process, because couldn't have done it without Kent. And his expert leadership and just conversation and friendship. So thank you to him, and thank you to Jennifer, as always, for editing all these programs. I mean, there's so many good things we're doing. So support all of us. I know it's hard to say, but support all three of our ministries. Support all three of our ministries. And know that God multiplies loaves and fish. So thank you.
That's right. He multiplies loaves and fish. I mean, this very program, your documentary, all the work that Kent, Jennifer, that we're all doing is really the ways that God is working, and just taking what we have, our gifts and our talents, to help people like you who are watching the show, the people who, maybe you have family members that you're concerned about with their faith, or maybe you yourself are going through a rough time and you're kind of questioning, well, this documentary and these ministries are ways that you can grow. So, Bill, I want to thank you so much. It's always great, as you say to me, I say it back to you. It's always great to share the airwaves with you. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Anne.
We'll see all of you here next week for Journeys in Faith with Anne DeSantis on Fiat Ministry Network. See you then.
Journeys of Faith is a production of Fiat Ministry Network and Patchwork Heart Ministry. For more information about Journeys of Faith, email info@fiatministrynetwork.tv. And be sure to friend, follow, and like us on social media. Just search Journeys in Faith with Anne DeSantis.